The Pokemon TCG has officially entered post-rotation in Japan, and there are a lot of City League events to look at the results of, a lot of new decks, and these cards are also including the Battle Partner set now too. So I wanted to make a quick video today. This is actually not going to be a quick video, looking through these new deck lists, the post-rotation decks of old archetypes, new archetypes with the Battle Partners cards in an unorganized format. So we're going to look at a lot of information today, and yeah, should be fun. So if you're new here, welcome to Celio's Network. Most of the time I'm going to edit my videos, but when there's information that's time relevant like this, I just want to get this kind of video out there. You guys probably care about the editing much less than the actual information. So we're going to start by looking over the Battle Partners cards that are relevant, so you guys know what we're dealing with here. Um, so first, let's just go in order here. We'll start with Enstar Manatan. So Enstar Manatan has the Hydaruma Cannon. It does 90. Discard all energy from this Pokemon. It also does 90 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So this is good with reversal energy because it turns into only needing one energy attachment if you're behind and you do 90-90. So that's pretty cool. And of course, Ends Zorak can copy the Ends Pokemon as well. Then we've got Volcanion EX. So this has the ability Scorching Vapor. Once a turn, if this is in the active, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon burned. So with Latias EX that came out in Surging Sparks, this is a really good card to have on your bench. So if something gets knocked out, you send this up, activate burn, you have free retreat because of Latias, then you retreat into your actual attacker. So Volcanion EX is pretty good because of that. Let's actually change how we're doing this. And there we go. Next, for the interesting cards, let's see. We've got Iono's Belly Bolt. So Iono's Belly Bolt EX has the ability Electrical Streamer. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic lightning from your hand to one of your Iono's Pokemon. So this is really cool. It's almost like a rain dance for lightning, except it's specifically only for Iono's Pokemon, of course. But it turns into this really neat engine, actually. I don't know how I want to show these cards. We'll just go back to this, I guess. There's a really cool engine with Iono's Belly Bolt. So Iono's Belly Bolt lets you attach as many energy as you want from your hand to your Iono's Pokemon. And then Iono's Kilowattrel has the ability discard a basic lightning energy from this Pokemon and then draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So you can use Iono's Belly Bolt to attach all your lightning energy to your Iono's Pokemon on the board, and then discard one from this Kilowattrel to draw your hand back up to 6. So it's actually a really neat engine there. Next we have Lily's Clefairy EX. I just want to get through all these cards really quick so you guys have like an idea of what the new cards do before we start jumping into deck lists. And then, of course, I'll also show what they do when we go into the deck lists. Lily's Clefairy EX. The weakness of each of your opponent's Dragon Pokemon in play is now Psychic. Unfortunately, this comes out as soon as Regidrago V-Star rotates out of standard format, so this will not be countering Regidrago V-Star, unfortunately, but there are other Dragon Pokemon around. So really neat ability there. And then Full Moon Rondo, you could probably assume what this is going to do. For Psychic and Colorless, it does 20 plus 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon. So this is another card that's going to benefit greatly from Area 0 Underdepths. And that's exactly how it's going to be used in the decks we take a look at today. Next, we have Mamoswine EX. Now, I do think Mamoswine EX is going to be a card that it's not amazing. It's a card that you can make work if you want to. I think it's going to be kind of on the level of Hydreigon EX, where, you know, we saw Tord do kind of okay with Hydreigon EX, not one of his best performances, but he was able to get a regional finish with Hydreigon EX, I believe. Or maybe he actually did not, because Hydreigon EX isn't that good right now. Anyway, I think Mamoswine EX is going to be one of those kinds of cards where you can fight against the grain to make it work into a competitive environment, but I don't think it's going to be tier 1. However, we're also going to look at a first place Mamoswine EX deck list today, so maybe I'm wrong. but it has the ability Mammoth Carry. Once a turn, you may search your deck for a Pokemon and put it into your hand. And then Reverberating March, it does 180, and then it does 40 more damage for each of your benched Stage 2 Pokemon. So I actually really like this card. I love Mamoswine. He's a cool Pokemon. High HP. Interesting stuff here. I would love to be proven wrong and see that this is a really, really good card. But I think it's probably going to fall into that tier 2, tier 3 range. But like I said, we will look at a deck list for that today. At least one deck list for it. And I'm not going to go over every single card here in the set. This is not a set review. I just want to give you guys a preview of what's going on here. This Tyranitar, I don't think there's any, there's no deck lists with it yet, but it does have an interesting effect. The ability is when this is in the active, your opponent can't play item cards. So that's pretty good. And then it does 150 for 2 energy. We've got Ends Zoroark here. It has the trade ability, of course. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. My first time competing in the World Championships in the main event was with a Zoroark GX deck. Zoroark GX had trade, and this has trade too. Same exact ability. So I'm pretty excited to see this ability come back. However, the attack on Zoroark EX is drastically different than Zoroark GX was back in the day. Night Joker for 2 dark energy. Choose one of your benched Ends Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So essentially, Ends Zoroark EX becomes as good as your other Ends Pokemon are. Now, we did look at Ends Darmanitan already, and that's a really good one to copy, 90/90. The other one that's pretty good that we'll probably be copying with Zoroark is Ends Reshiram. So Ends Reshiram has an attack that does 170. That'll be like your kind of basic 2-shot attack that you're copying. And then Powerful Rage does 20 times the amount of damage counters on this Pokemon. So if Ends Zoroark gets hit for not a knockout, let's say it gets hit for like 200 damage, then you'll just one-shot anything by copying the Rage attack from Reshiram. Onto the Metal Pokemon here. We've got Hopzashion EX. This, of course, a lot of people are saying this is like a reprint of Buzzwole GX. So the first attack, Instant Slash, does 30, and then 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then Brave Slash does 240. It has pretty good HP, but there's also support for Hop that is going to be important to know when looking at Hopzashion. So we have Hop's Snorlax. Attacks used by your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So that turns that attack into 60 and 30, or it turns the second attack into 270. We also have Hop's Double. That's going to be a Hop Pokemon that's good. You may use this ability when you play this Pokemon from your hand, and you essentially get a boss's orders effect when you evolve this. So that's really strong. Then also for Hop, let's see. Hop's Choice Band. Attacks used by the Hop's Pokemon this card is attached to cost 1 colorless less and do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This card I actually hadn't read for myself until right now, so you're gonna see some surprise maybe in my voice and in my face here. I thought this tool just said that it did 30 more damage, but now I am seeing that colorless in the Japanese writing, and I'm seeing this translation. So their attacks cost 1 colorless less, and they do 30 more damage. This is like an energy gain and a choice belt. But it does it to everything, not only EX Poke. This card's insane. That Hop's Choice Band is absolutely nuts. But actually, a lot of the Pokemon get supportive items. So here we have Ends PP Up, which is quite a name to choose for this item. Attach a basic energy card from one of your discard pile to one of your benched Ends Pokemon. So it does have to go to the bench. That's going to be something to keep in mind when playing with the Ends Zoroark deck. These are just some general cards. We don't need to look at those for reference. Lily's Pearl. This is going to be important for Lily's Clefairy. If the Lily's Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack of your opponent's Pokemon, that player takes 1 fewer prize card. So that's pretty crazy. And let's see. We've got Ends Castle. Ends Pokemon in play have no retreat cost. This is for lightning energy, but not specific to one kind of Pokemon. Attacks used by Hop's Pokemon do 30 more damage. So Hop is just out here getting all of these damage buffs. The Hop Pokemon seem pretty strong. So we looked at most of the cards that are relevant for the deck lists we'll look at today. Like I said, this isn't a full set review of Battle Partners or anything like that. Let's hop over to Limitless's City League event results. And there's actually a ton on here. Shout out to Limitless for being amazing. Throughout this, we'll look at some old decks that are built in new ways because of the rotation. If you don't know, rotation is happening on PTCG Live at the end of March, and then it's happening 2 weeks later in early April for real life tournaments. And essentially, any card with regulation F will be rotated out. So, just a really quick example of what that means. We'll look at a meta card here as the example. We have to scroll down. So Regidrago V-Star has that little F mark down here. That means it's no longer legal for play. So anything with F is out. Anything with the yellow borders is also out by relation, because these are all yellow border cards because they're before Scarlet Violet. So with that in mind, let's look at these exciting post-rotation deck lists. And these are from City League events, typically 64 players. Roughly something equivalent to a League Cup. And like I said, I don't know how many of these we're going to get through. I could be here all day reading these deck lists, but we're going to look at a good bit of them, and especially the ones that look the most exciting. So here we have a Mamoswine deck, and we are going to open this in the Limitless Deck Builder, because now we can just click on the card and see its translation over here. So this is going to be great. So as we know, we just read Mamoswine EX in that short review. This is a very bulky Pokemon. This is going to be the main attacker. It can search your deck for a Pokemon every turn, and it does 40 more damage for each of your benched Stage 2 Pokemon. Now, a card we didn't look at yet is Blaziken EX. So Blaziken EX is a Stage 2 Pokemon as well, 320 health, and it has the ability Boiling Fighting Spirit. You may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So this will allow you to power up the Mamoswine EX in just one turn. It should also help you power up your Dragapult EX in just one turn. So as you can see, this deck plays a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon. It also plays Luxray, which can be played down straight from your hand to your bench if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. And that will count as a Stage 2 Pokemon. It is by definition a Stage 2 Pokemon. Even if it didn't evolve, it'll still count as that for the purpose of Mamoswine EX. So you have Mamoswine, you have Blaziken, you have Pidgeot, you have Dragapult, you have Luxray. So there's actually, we also have Klinklang that can be played. If this Pokemon's in your hand and your opponent has any Stage 2 Pokemon in play, you can just play this Pokemon down. So that's Mamoswine, Blaziken, Pidgeot, Dragapult, Klinklang, Luxray. I feel like I'm doing the Pokemon rap. So 6 different Stage 2 Pokemon. You can potentially have an entire board of Stage 2 Pokemon. If you have 5 Pokemon on the bench and they're all Stage 2s, then a Reverberating March would do an incredible 380 damage. The ace spec of choice here in this deck is Grand Tree, which allows you to evolve up into Stage 2s really quickly. We've got Big Air Balloon, the Stage 2 Pokemon this card is attached to, has no retreat cost. Pretty cool deck, and guys, this got first place at a City League, so really neat stuff. And yeah, this is all these deck lists are going to be available on Limitless for you to see. You just go to limitlesstcg.com, tournaments, then City Leagues. Now, note these prices for the Japanese deck lists here. These are typically not going to be correct right away because they do not have information on how much these cards will cost in English because they're not out yet. They're from the Journey Together set. So remember that. We're looking at post-rotation. Some of these decks might not even have new cards in them, but a lot of them are going to have the Journey Together cards. And also to note, Journey Together came out on January 24th. The lists we're looking at here are from January 25th, and I think some from January 24th as well. Let me check. So today, yeah, I'm recording this on the 25th, and we're looking at decks from the 25th, and the set came out on the 24th. So people just started being able to get these cards in Japan. But yeah, first place, Mamoswine EX deck. How cool is that? Shout out PTCG Radio. He'll be happy to see that. Here we've just got a Raging Bolt deck list. If the deck lists don't have any new cards, we'll still take a look at them real quick just because it's post-rotation. Looking at this Raging Bolt list, though, there's not even many differences between this Raging Bolt and a Raging Bolt from current standard format. I will say Jamming Tower looks to be pretty popular, and I think that makes a lot of sense because we saw Hop's Choice Band as a broken tool. That Lily Orb or whatever it's called that makes the Lily's Pokemon worth one less Pokemon. That's a very strong tool. So Jamming Tower seems to be very, very good in this format. Here we've got a Raging Bolt Ogerpon with a little bit of a Noctowl Fan Rotom engine. So this is definitely built a little bit differently. We see that Jamming Tower popping up again. Um, More Raging Bolt. Here we've got Gardevoir with Pidgeot. Okay, so this is going to be interesting to check out. So first thing we need to talk about with Gardevoir, very, very obvious thing. Look at this Curlia. It sucks. Why does it suck? Because it's not Refinement Curlia anymore. Refinement Curlia had a yellow border, it's F block, and it is out. So now we have to use just regular old Curlias that do not draw us cards just to evolve up into Gardevoir sometimes. So Gardevoir lost its draw engine is essentially what I'm trying to say. That's pretty bad. This list, let's see, got 5th place. So we're doing a 3-1-2 line of Gardevoir because we need Gardevoir to accelerate energy onto the board. Looks like they're still trying to play Gardevoir in a pretty similar way to pre-rotation with the Bravery Charms, Drifloon, Screamtail, Dark Energy, and Monkey Dory. But Pidgeot EX, that's certainly new. So that's going to be your search engine instead of having a draw engine per se. Mew EX maybe supplements to draw a bit. Pheasantipity, of course, is a great way to draw cards. And then we've got the Lily's Clefairy EX in here, which is new. Of course, the 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon, and it turns the weakness of your opponent's Dragon Pokemon into Psychic. So I think that Dragon thing is why this is mostly here. And the ace spec of choice here is Brilliant Blender. Search your deck for up to 5 cards and discard them. That kind of makes sense because you no longer have Refinement to toss your Psychic energies into the discard pile. All right, moving along, we've got a Dragapult deck here. So Dragapult Dusknoir Badoo. This is a deck that's going to be good in our TPCI, American, European, Western format of Prismatic Evolutions. Of course, that is pre-rotation. So again, we're not going to have rotation on PTCG Live until end of March. This is a look forward for end of March, early April. But yeah, this is really cool to see what Dragapult Dusknoir decks are going to look like when Forest Seal Stone and Rotom and Lumineon, those cards rotate out, because we've seen those cards be instrumental for all Arven builds. For Miraidon, they use Rotom, Forest Seal Stone, Charizard, Dragapult. Pidgeot control. So lots of stuff changing here. But yeah, this looks like a fine starting place for Dragapult Dusknoir Badoo in post rotation. Next, we've got some Charizard Noctowl action. I don't want to take too long look at this because I think there's better performing versions of this deck in other city leagues. So I want to kind of wait until we get to the better performing versions, look at the higher placing lists. But let's look down the line here, see if there's anything interesting we want to click on. There's an Azumarill deck here, so we should probably click on that and see what that's all about. Azumarill is from Surging Spark, so if you have any Terra Pokemon in play, this Pokemon can use its attack for 1. Okay, so that's really strong. Double Edge for 230. Okay, so it can use it for 1 Psychic Energy. Of course, Clefairy makes Dragon Pokemon weak to Psychic. So we're going to see that Lily's Clefairy popping up a lot. And then we also have an N deck here. It got 16th place, so not amazing. Did better than, I guess, three-quarters of the City League, though. So let's take a look at this one. Like I said, we're probably going to see better placements from some of these decks, but just a quick refresher on what this deck is trying to do. So Enzor can copy your benched End's Pokemon with its Night Joker attack, and you have the Ends Darmanitan that does 90 and 90 as one of the choices, and then you also have Ends Reshiram, which can do 170, or the powerful Rage attack, which can get some one-shot KOs. All right, we have a lot to look at, so let's move on. Now, these wall stall decks are doing very well. There were the three first city leagues in a row were won by these Milotic Cornerstone wall decks. I don't think that is anything to worry about. I think this is a new format with a smaller card pool. A lot of people are probably going to be trying the same things out. That they're, new cards that they're excited about, the hop cards, the end cards. So you might be able to have a really centralized metagame where you hard counter some stuff with a deck like this. I wouldn't worry too much about the wall decks. Now, Canceling Cologne, I'm 99% sure that Canceling Cologne rotated, so I'm just going to give that a little check here. Yeah, it was in Astral Radiance, so Canceling Cologne is gone. But that's not the only way you can get through these guys. You could just play Pokemon that can attack these Pokemon. So I don't think this is anything to worry about, but just wanted to take a quick look at this. So Milotic can't be hit by Terra Pokemon, Farigiraf can't be hit by basic Pokemon EX, and Cornerstone Ogerpon cannot be hit by Pokemon with an ability. And this Pokevital A is an aspect that says heal 150 damage for one of your Pokemon, and this can't be put back into your hand from the discard pile. Next, we have a second place Dragapult Dusknoir deck. The Lily's Clefairy in here. Why is Lily's Clefairy in here? I guess it's a counter to other Dragapult decks. So Dragapult, which originally would have no weakness, its Dragon type, is now weak to Clefairy on the other side. So that's a pretty cool mirror tech, actually. And they do play one of the Lily's Pearls as well to make Clefairy worth one less prize card, which is also pretty neat. And they play a 1/1 Xatu line. Xatu, of course, can accelerate a basic Psychic Energy from your hand to a benched Pokemon, and then you get to draw 2 cards. Here we've got something that should be cool. So we've got an Archal Adon deck, or Archal Adon, I think I discovered is the pronunciation. Archal Adon deck with Hops Double and also one Hopzashion EX. So we already looked at these cards, but just a quick refresher. So Hops Double, when you evolve it, you get a Boss's Orders effect or a Gust effect. You get to bring something up. So this is amazing because Archal Adon is losing Dialga V-Star to rotation, but now it's gaining another way to Gust Pokemon up. And Archal Adon does 220. So that's really important for Archal Adon because this card is not going to be able to one-shot other large Pokemon. Like another Archal Adon, like a Dragapult, like a Charizard. So if you're able to gust up the support Pokemon, the Fezzes, the Ogerpons, those Squawkabilly EX, those kinds of cards with Boss's Orders and with Hops Double, that's how Archal Adon takes prizes really fast. And then it's just playing one of the Hopzashion, which I guess it could do 240, so you can like double Archal Adon to power up a Zacian, and it can swing for 240, or if there's 2 Pokemon that you need to do 30-30 to, I guess it's good for there too. This could have just been like a card that they tossed in to try it out since it's new. I'm not sure if the Hopzashion makes too much sense in that exact deck list. And we've got some more wall deck. We've got a Future Hands here. Let's take a look at just the image here. Yeah, these are all older cards. Nothing new here. Looks pretty similar to how Future Hands decks were built prior. So the way these work are Iron Crown boosts all your future Pokemon's damage output, and you try to take knockouts with either Arm Press or Amp You Very Much. And of course, when Amp You Very Much is buffed by the Iron Crowns, and then it also gets a buff by Future Booster Energy Capsule, doing 20 more damage. You can knock out bigger Pokemon than you'd normally be able to with Amp You Very Much. So, and then you also have the Baby Miraidon that does peak acceleration and accelerates energies, and also can chip in a whole bunch of damage if you have enough Iron Crowns on the board. We see another one of these Azumarill Noctowl decks, so maybe these are a little bit more than meme tier. Of course, the Azumarill we just looked at that says if you have Terra Pokemon in play, it can attack for 1 Psychic, so it does 230 for 1. And they're also playing the Neutralization Zone. Prevent all damage done to Pokemon that don't have a rule box by Pokemon EX and Pokemon V. So if your opponent's not playing enough stadium bumps and you get this in there, your Azumarill becomes invincible. I'm just going to go ahead and click on Ends Zoroark here and look at City League lists so we can find the highest placing one here so we don't look through all of them. Yeah, so here's a third place Ends Zoroark deck list. So this is where we should start for this. Oop. Let's open in Deck Builder. There we go. So we got 4/4 Ends Zoroark, 2/2 of the Darmanitan, of course, doing that 90/90. Ends Reshiram. So same two Pokemon that we're copying here with Ends Zoroark. We've got Brock Scouting, which is a supporter card that searches your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon or an evolution Pokemon. Okay, so it searches for either 2 basics or 1 evolution. That's a cool supporter to have. We've got some of the Ends Energy Acceleration, the Ends PP up. We got Ends Castle for free retreat. Let's see, Janine's Secret Art. So choose up to 2 of your dark Pokemon for each of those Pokemon. Search your deck for a basic energy card and attach to that Pokemon. Okay, so another way to accelerate energy as well to your Zoroark. And then something important to the damage output for this deck is they're playing Pecharon EX, which will allow you to move your dark Pokemon to the active and poison it. And then the Binding Mochi, which will make that poisoned Pokemon do 40 more damage. So that's a really interesting way to build Zoroark. So with the Binding Mochi buff, if you copy Innocent Flame, that'll do 210. If you copy Hydaruma Cannon, that'll do 130 and 90. And then you also have the Monkey Dory to move damage as well. Which, if your Zoroark becomes poisoned and then they maybe gust around and knock something out, the next turn you can move that poison damage with the Monkey Dory. Okay, so that's going to be our best example for the end deck because that was the one that got the highest placement. Well, let's do the same here. So here we have a Hopzashion deck, but it got 11th place. So I want to look at the higher placing ones for this. So let's go ahead and look here. Okay, here's a first place deck list. This is good. Okay, this is good. This is what we want. So first place Archal Adon. Let's open this up in Builder. Looks like Archal Adon is going to be a very popular way to play with Hopzashion. Of course, the Assemble Alloy, when you evolve, you get to accelerate 2 basic energy from your discard pile to your metal Pokemon any way you like. And then Hops Snorlax will make your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage. And then Postwick will make your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage. And Hop's Choice Band will make your Hops Pokemon do 30 more damage. And then Zacian, with all those buffs and the energy acceleration, has 2 pretty good attacks. One Pokemon that we didn't mention is Hops Cramorant. If your opponent doesn't have exactly 3 or 4 prize cards remaining, this attack does nothing. But the attack is Whimsical Spit. It swings 120 for just 1 colorless energy. And then if you have the Hops Stadium, the Hops Choice Band, and the Hops Snorlax, it actually does 210 for 0 energy. So when your opponent's on 3 or 4 prize cards remaining, you want to be looking for an opportunity to use this Hops Cramorant. Okay, let's see. So we can look at a different list here. This is a second place list. This one is playing Monkey Dory and Dark Energy. It's also playing Pokemon League Headquarters. Okay, so probably aiming to attack. Yeah, this one's aiming to attack with Archal Adon as the main Pokemon. This is not using the Hops Pokemon as much. Let's see. And then, okay, this is different. This is a cool one to look at as well. So this one is playing Metang with the Metal Maker. Once a turn, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic metal energy you find there to your Pokemon any way you like. And then also has Revavroom with Rumbling Engine. You must discard an energy card from your hand to use this ability, and then draw cards until you have 6. And this is going to be a Hopzashion focused deck. So we're not using our Chaladon here. We're using the Metangs to power up the Hopzashion, and then of course the other Hops support, the Choice Band, the Stadium, the Hops Snorlax. So this is a pretty cool build as well. And remember, guys, this is day one and day two of these cards and post rotation. So take this with a grain of salt. And I'm trying to go through and look at the best performing lists for the archetypes that we want to look at here. So I am definitely skipping around a good bit, but you can find all of these tournament results at limitlesstcg.com. So let's look at the best performing Iono's Belly Bolt deck. Open this in Builder. So like I was saying, I think this is a really cool engine. Iono's Belly Bolt allows you to attach basic lightning energy as much as you want to your Iono's Pokemon, and Iono's Kilowattrel discards a lightning energy from itself to allow you to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. And then there's also this Stadium Levincia, that player may put up to 2 basic lightning energy cards from their discard pile into their hand. And of course, the main attacker for all of this is going to be Raging Bolt. So it's playing for Professor Sada's. You could also argue to play energy switches in this, because you could Belly Bolt energies to Belly Bolt or Kilowattrel and then energy switch it to Raging Bolt and then attach a fighting energy. So maybe we see that become more of the way to go with this, but I'm also definitely not convinced that this is better than just playing the Teal Mask Ogre Pond version of Raging Bolt. Okay, next I want to look for this Lily's Clefairy box style of a deck. Let's look for the highest placement of it. Okay, that's going to be over here somewhere, it looks like. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Maybe not that one. That has a lot of text. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay, let's go with this one. So this is a 7th place list, but I've also seen this a lot from the Japanese archives. So this is another link that I'm going to leave in the description. These are gym battle results. So I've seen a lot of the Belly Bolt stuff, the Lily's Clefairy, and Zoroark. There's a lot of new stuff if you want to look at new decks over here too. But these are gym battles, so these are even less competitive than City Leagues. But this deck here, this looks like it could be a good big basic deck. So Lily's Clefairy, of course, has the Rondo style attack, which is going to do 20 plus 20 more for each benched Pokemon. And it also has the Lily's Pearl, which is going to turn it into a single prize Pokemon. And then you have Area Zero to expand the bench. You also have the Volcanion X to burn your opponent's Pokemon, so that's also going to boost some more damage into it. And let's see. So to power up the Lily's Clefairies, you use Teal Mask plus Energy Switch, similar to Raging Bolt. And so you're trying to use these Lily's Clefairies as very powerful single prizers. That looks to be the point of this deck, and that's going to be a problem if your opponent's playing a lot of jamming towers to get through the Lily's Pearls. Here's a 4th place list that's pretty interesting. So it looks like it's focused on the Roaring Moon EX and the Baby Roaring Moon. But then it's also using a 2/2 line of Zoroark, ends Zoroark EX, but the only thing ends Zoroark EX is being used for here is literally just the trade ability. You can't attack with ends Zoroark EX in this deck because you'll have nothing to copy except for, I guess, Zorua that does 20 because you don't have any other ends Pokemon. So three Roaring Moon EX, 3 Baby Roaring Moon, and then the Zoroark EX just for the trade, just for the draw ability. Interesting. I don't know if I like that, but definitely something interesting to see. Let's keep going. So there's a 1st place Alakazam deck. We gotta look at this, right? 1st place Alakazam EX deck. Now, if you don't remember, Alakazam EX is a promo card that came out around the time of Pokemon 151, and it has the Mind Jack attack, so 90 plus 30 more for each Pokemon on your opponent's bench. And then also has the Dimensional Hand attack, which does 120, and this attack can be used from your bench. So you can put a Pokemon like Mimikyu up into the active, or a Pokemon like Klefki up into the active. Pokemon that are annoying for your opponent to deal with, and then attack with the Alakazam from the bench. Uh, Pretty interesting. We'll have to see. I don't think this is going to become a meta deck just because we've seen this strategy not really be able to work in our competitive environment the whole time Alakazam EX has been out. but you never know. Very cool to see that kind of deck take a first place. Here we've got a second place Charizard Noctowl deck, so I definitely want to take a look at this. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure... Okay, there's a first place Charizard Noctowl. We should just pick this one. First place Charizard Noctowl, here we go. So, yeah, Rotom V, Forest Seal Stone, Lumineon V, those are all gone. So this looks to be the way that Charizard EX is being built. And this was already kind of a version of Charizard EX even before rotation. It just wasn't as popular. So Noctowl, if you have a Terra Pokemon in play, you get to search for 2 trainers. Charizard, of course, is one of the strongest cards available in the game. And Terrapagos is a good basic Terra to proc Noctowl. Also a good attacker, especially when you have Area 0 under depths. But no new cards here, but great idea if you want to see how this deck's going to be built in the post-rotation. And let's look through a couple more at least before we call it a day here for this video. Remember, this is just an early preview. I'll be putting together more edited content looking at these kinds of deck lists for sure. So here we have a first place Flareon deck. This is definitely worth looking at. Not because I think it's like super duper good or anything, but because it's cool. It's it's a Flareon deck. So let's see what's going on here. Um, Flareon has the Burning Charge attack. It does 130. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. It also has the Carnelian attack that does 280, but then that during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. So you can power this up with Glass Trumpet when it's still an Eevee. What's also cool is that you can evolve your Eevees on turn 1 as long as Eevee's in the active spot. So you can evolve into Flareon or into this Jolteon. The Jolteon does 180 if it's attacking an EX Pokemon. And you can help power these up, like I said, the Glass Trumpet onto the Eevees, or the Crispin is another way to accelerate energies. You also have this basic Eevee EX that can evolve into a Flareon EX or into... it has to evolve into an EX. It can't evolve into the Jolteon because that's not an EX. But this deck, honestly, does not look that powerful. I guess you're just trying to consistently swing 280 every turn, or maybe there's something I'm missing here, but it doesn't look very powerful to me. But it got first place. Let's see what else was in this City League where it got first place at, actually. So here is this. Okay, so Dragapult Dusknoir was in second. We got Raging Bolt Ogerpon in third with some Noctowl engine going on. Then we've got this Milotic Iron Thorns wall deck. Okay, so some pretty interesting stuff. Some meta decks doing well, and then this Flareon Noctowl deck was able to take it all down. Okay, so this is a cool deck. This got 8th place, but this was an idea that I saw Jake Gearhart share on Twitter. So the Magmortars say put 3 more damage counters on your opponent's burn Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. And we already know that Volcanion says that you can leave your opponent's Pokemon burnt if this is in the active. So you have, let's see, 4 switches, 4 jet energies. You also have Surfer, which can switch your Pokemon. So you burn them with Volcanion, you buff the burn damage with Magmortar, and then you have Badoo to do 10 damage, item lock, and then they take all that damage from burn. And all the while, you have Handheld Fan to force energies off of your opponent's Pokemon, Crushing Hammer to force energy off of your opponent's Pokemon. This is a really cool idea. Annoying with the energy disruption, you're item locking them, you're burning them, so even when they're knocking out the Badoo that's doing 10 damage at a time, maybe they're taking 50, 80, even more damage from burn potentially. So really cool concept there that I definitely wanted to point out. And I think we'll stop there for today. But we got a really great look at some post-rotation stuff, some new battle partners decks. And like I said, you can find even more at these links that I'm going to leave in the description. And continue searching through the City League results on Limitless as well. There's a lot of cool stuff to look at here. Look forward to more of this kind of coverage on the channel. And thanks for watching. If you're looking to level up your game, you could check out my Metafy in the description down below. I do one-on-one coaching. I also have a masterclass where you can learn at your own pace. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon TCG content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.